What's up, everybody? Today we are going to be talking about more n8n for beginners. So before we get into, probably in the third video, we're going to be showing you actual workflows and actually how to build them. I really want to stress on you guys learning from the ground up and learning the building blocks. If you learn just by like this workflow does this, like you're not going to learn how to build these, okay? And so we're going to start here and really just go over some basic terminology for you guys so that you fully understand what is going on within n8n. So we have this beautiful Miro board here. The first thing you guys need to know is triggers versus nodes, okay? So triggers are essentially starting points of every n8n workflow that you're going to build. So they're like the motion sensors that sit quietly and they wait for something specific to happen, okay? Now, understanding what the difference is between a node and a trigger is important for you building more complex, longer workflows. And I'll kind of just read by these for you guys to keep explaining this. But you don't need input from previous steps because they are the first step. And this is really what I want to get across. So these triggers are constantly watching. So think of it as like the automation kind of has eyes everywhere, right? So it's watching for things to happen or for that specific condition to be met. So for example, a Gmail trigger continuously will monitor your inbox for new emails. And when a new email arrives, that trigger captures all of the email data, sender, the subject, the body, the attachments, and passes it to the next node in your workflow. Versus what is a node? Well, a node is, and these also can be called action nodes in n8n. These are the workhorses of your workflow and they actually perform the tasks or the actions you want to perform. So this is the step in which you can put the different apps or the different workflows that are existent in n8n already into. So for example, nodes can't run on their own. They have to have a trigger and they have to have data pass through them. But the node is the step, again, like I said, like the app, or for example, like a specific function here, like sending the emails, updating databases, posting to social media, processing files, or transforming data into a specific thing that you're asking for. So think of both like a car. The ignition, like turning the key on, is your trigger, and the engine that is actually making the car move is the node. And nodes can be literally anything. There's a million things here. So common triggers and nodes. So common triggers that you need to understand, and I would honestly screenshot this if I were you guys. You have webhook triggers. So this is when and I'm going to get really technical here, but again, this is why we're getting from the ground up so you understand the technical part. An HTTP request. So you get an actual request from a web, it's called a webhook for a reason, but from a website or from you setting up something that is hosted on the web being triggered. So for example, integrations with other tools or custom apps or Zapier-like automations. That's why you need webhooks. Schedule triggers. This runs a workflow at set intervals. So every X minutes, every hour, every day, whatever. And this is used for daily reporting, or you're doing like data syncs. For example, if you want to pull data from like your ads manager or from some sort of constantly updated database. Batch processing, scraping things, scraping emails, scraping databases, etc. Gmail trigger, pretty self-explanatory. Google Sheets trigger. So when a row is added or changed, that can be a trigger. So if this is added from, let's say you set up a webhook, or something pulling from a database and it gets added to the Google Sheet. When that happens, then this happens. So if this, then that. And you can do that with these triggers. Next, very easy, like type form, jot form, any sort of form. So whether a lead capture or this step, if this, then that. And then you have app-specific triggers. So things like a new row in Airtable, a new payment in Stripe, a new message in Slack. We use a lot of these inside of Kendo and inside of my other businesses. And you really, really need to understand before you go play with n8n what this stuff means. Because if you're new, you're going to be so lost and you're going to get a better result from understanding this first. Now let's talk about nodes. So again, HTTP requests, they can talk to any other API. So like the Slack API, Close CRM API, Stripe API, Gmail or email send. So the node is the action, remember. So send the email, send the draft or make the draft, autoresponders, Google Sheets, read the row, write the data, fill out a sheet, fill out a form, update cells, fetch data. OpenAI and these actual LLMs, you can generate text with these nodes. You can ask it to do certain things, start a workflow. If you have a project already created with a lot of context profiles, run that, for example. Function code, you can write custom code as well for very complex logic within nodes. So the step of the node can actually be custom code that is preset to trigger, obviously when the trigger happens. If then switching, so conditional logic, merging and splitting, so join or split data streams or arrays. delay or wait, you can actually set time limits on nodes and actions happening. Filter, database. So I know this is a lot of granular stuff. It's not exciting, but it's very, very important for you guys to understand when we're getting into this. So now this is what you're going to see when you start to build out workflows. So what are fields? So there's two kinds of fields. You have expression and you have fixed fields. So fixed fields are static inputs where you can put exact values that remain constant throughout the whole workflow. So for example, if you always want to send emails to support@company.com, you'd use a fixed mode and type that email address rather than it being a variable or something generated by AI. Like for example, we have support requests that come into Kendo, and we have a lot of these flows for that. So that support email is always the same. So we're going to use these fields to kind of have a control there where the variable is going to be the way we respond, or maybe the resources we send them, or things like that, if you kind of can think through this process. Expression mode, this is a dynamic input. So when you see these brackets here, I might misspeak here, but I just call this JSON, which we'll get into in a minute. JSON, again, is just the prompt that you would normally use, but in robot language. That's the easiest way to explain it for you guys without overcomplicating this. So this can be a variable because this JSON email is pulling basically a tag or a bracket from somewhere else that will then fill into this form, okay? And so that's the big difference between these two, and this really matters once we start to set up nodes and triggers. And so, for example, instead of typing in a fixed email address, you could use an expression mode to grab that email from a previous step, like a form submission or a spreadsheet row, and populate it there. So it's like searching the data, grabbing the data, plugging it in, and it can be any variable according to whatever that source is, okay? So you can do calculations, combine text, transform data. For example, you could automatically create an email subject like order, and then order number is their actual order number. This is an easy example for you guys to understand. Or like when you send emails, that first name, hey, first name, that's exactly what this is, okay? And this is very important for personalization, customization, and variability of whatever you're building. So use fixed mode for things that never change. Obviously, it's fixed. Use expression mode when you need to pull information from previous steps. You want to manipulate data. You want it to be personalized and have some variability there, okay? So JSON, very, very, very important. Make sure you guys pay attention to this. So JavaScript object notation is the nerdy word for this. This is how n8n organizes and stores information as it flows through your workflows, okay? So JSON is just a way to structure data so that computers can easily read it and work with it. One of the big problems with AI is it can get confused. AI is only as good, and I've said this multiple times, but it's only as good as the data that you give it or the prompts that you give it. And so JSON, and then contextually context profiles, which we'll get into here in a moment, is basically giving as much data in a specific format as you can to these LLMs so that it understands what you want it to do, and you're going to get much better outputs and workflows from it. So for example, imagine a business card. The key might be name, and the value might be John Smith. So for example, we would say name here. Name is obviously what? It's their name. But what is the name? It could be variable. It could be a filled in spot from using one of these variable expression modes here. So for example, I could create a fully automated workflow that would fill in their name, email, phone number, and this could be used for any application, and it will automatically list. Now, if I take it a step further, we can build these this is called a context profile, okay? So whenever JSON is structured in a big, long, basically like a data set, not to say the meme, that's where you get into really cool stuff. And I can actually show you guys some examples here. So I'm trying to keep this understandable and simple for you because you get a bit like nerd talk here. Every piece of data that flows between nodes is structured as JSON, okay? So it is in this robot language. So when you receive an email, n8n will automatically convert it to JSON with the keys, and the keys are, think of it like when you hit like tab on a Google Doc. So you have a headline and then you have tab, bullet point. Think of keys like that. Where was I? The keys will automatically match whatever that data coming in is. So for example, in this right here, let me zoom in. This is for Kendo, right? So we have role assistant. So the AI is understanding what's my role? I'm an assistant. Okay. What's the content? And then we get into the content here. So app functionality, description. This is going to fill in this key. So the key here is description. So Kendo AI is blah, 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 whatever. Key features, name, AI roleplay, details. Sales reps can do this. Name, details, name, details, name, details. I won't say what this is used for, so we don't give away secret sauce, but you can see the formatting of using the JSON style of writing prompts, essentially, in the way that that will correspond with n8n. I know it's confusing, and you're going to see why we do that here in a second. So let's talk about schemas. These are organized blueprints that show you the structure of your data in a clean visual format. So again, this is confusing, right? That's why we use schemas. So when data flows between nodes in your workflow, remember the node is the action step, not the trigger. The action step is the node. n8n will automatically organize it into a schema view that shows you exactly what information is available, and it's structured without overwhelming you with technical code or formatting. Because remember, n8n as a software is doing a lot of complex code, but in a visual way for you to see. That way you can just do drag things, drop things, and it's like building blocks. But you need to understand this anyway. So schemas are particularly helpful because they can act like a data dictionary for each step in your workflow. So instead of seeing raw JSON code with brackets and quotes, and this is called technical syntax, the schema view represents the same information as a neat list with clear field names and data types, which is what this is right here. So this is, if we go here, this is the JSON, this is the schema. Just makes it a lot easier for you to see. And this is when you click into these I guess we'll call these data in n8n, this is what you'll see. And so you can see here, key features, this is variables. This is like drop downs, right? Tabs. Then we have the name, then we have the details. And you can see the A or the font icon here. That's because it's just simple text. And then you have, this is starting to get into a table where we're listing all of these in a table. And again, I know this is complicated, but just stay with me here, okay? So schema versus JSON versus table views, like I just mentioned the table. So n8n has 3 different ways to view the same data. Schema, JSON, table. Schema is the most beginner-friendly option, and it's going to represent your data as an organized list with these variables. So if you've ever built like emails or used any sort of automation, this is pretty simple to understand. Now, this is where it gets a little bit complicated, is the table, okay? The table is basically taking this JSON, but putting it into a step-by-step process and showing you. Log means basically when it runs, the data is going to come through. But this is showing you in a spreadsheet-like format with rows and columns. Then you have the JSON, which is the raw. And if you're a complete beginner and you have no idea how code is formatted, this will confuse the shit out of you. So that's why we use the schema. This is easier to understand what's happening than this is, okay? But again, all of this is just data and information for you guys to understand that really is not affecting anything that you're currently doing. Okay, so I just want to give you guys a brief example here to finish this video out. This is a trigger, okay? Let me zoom in for you. On form submission, do this. This is a trigger, okay? These are the HTTP requests. So if we go back to the beginning here, like we were talking about, here we go. Trigger, HTTP request. That's a webhook, okay? So this is connected to, I didn't build this flow, but this is connected to, let's see if we can click in here without giving any information. Okay, this is a trigger that is connected to Kendo. So this is, I'm blurring this out, but this is connected to Kendo, obviously. This is a webflow or a workflow that we use. So this is the trigger, is when a form is submitted, then this happens. This is the step 1 of the node, which is switching things around here. So YouTube, Instagram, X, Twitter, whatever. Then we have a action step. So get video from YouTube. Then we have another HTTP request. Then we have an action, edit fields, okay? Again, same thing here. These are just doing different things. And I don't want to like give away the secret sauce here of this until video 3, just not confuse you. Then we are reading a Google Sheet. Then we are using AI. This is where we get into n8n versus like Zapier or something. So we have a specific chat model that is set up to do certain things based upon the data that comes from this webhook that is then filtered through these, okay? Then it sends to a Google Drive, then it sends to Slack, then it sends to Gmail. So basically, again, this isn't how to build a workflow, but I just want to show you trigger, node, action steps, webhooks, actual LLM, edit field, edit action, Google Drive for storage, then to Gmail, okay, to give us a notification or something. So in video 3 of this is part 2. In video 3, we're actually going to get into specific n8n workflows and actually showing you how to build them. But please, 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 guys, understand, you need to do this from the ground up. You need to understand that it's not a buzzword. This is a skill, and you need to learn the skill and what it means. If you can simply learn what triggers are, what nodes are, these common things here, and then understand JSON code itself rather than just a generic prompt, you will be miles ahead using AI than everybody else. So thank you for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one. And as always, just let me know in the comments what you want to see, and I'll see you guys on the next video.